Hey everyone, welcome back to Heavy on the Truth, the plus side conversations. I'm Nomi,
And I'm Lux Wanderlust.
and you can find us on our socials. I'm on TikTok and Instagram as want_to_Nomi.
And I'm on TikTok as Lux_Wanderlust.
So today's conversation is all about fat phobia. So we're gonna get into this. If you don't know, fat phobia is exactly what it sounds like, being scared of anything that relates to being fat. It kind of stems deeply from being influenced by the ideals of diet culture, which many people will know has shaped fitness and beauty standards for decades now. It comes in different forms. I think we know as plus size bodies, it's the name calling. You see it more so now on social media with comments like, "Oh, it looks like you're gonna break the pole." Like, I've seen comments like that of people's thing, or people doubting that someone goes to the gym because they're not skinny. So it comes up in different ways, but it's literally people with certain body shapes, weights, and sizes experiencing all manners of shaming, bias, and discrimination. It happens not just from random people, but it also happens in health. Like, we've discussed that too.
Yeah.
I guess like in our welcome episode where we talked about just feeling like doctors not hearing us,
Uh,
or when you go to a doctor, everything being related to being fat. I remember when I was really stressed in law school and all my doctor could come up with for why my periods were skipping was,
your
"You
weight,
need to lose weight."
your weight. Yeah.
Not like, I'm also very stressed. It's law school. Like, it's a stressful situation. It comes up in that as well, is that, okay, doctors may not necessarily want to give you a proper diagnosis or think they're giving you one just because they look at your body and say, "Well, it has to be because you're fat," which isn't necessarily true, because when we do testing and our test markers come back as fine, the blood work comes back and it's okay, there has to be more than "you're just fat." 'Cause all my biomarkers are clearing, everything is looking good. So it comes up in that way, and that's really harmful.
It is.
And it's just like, it's basically being fearful. Like, there is a fear of people being afraid of being fat.
It's scary. It's like you don't want to end up like her. And it's so funny because I was listening to I tend to like on social media, I tend to follow a lot of either plus size people on their journeys or people that used to be plus size and are now navigating life not plus size. And there's this one particular creator who was kind of like reminiscing about how like she remembers like her being big is your identity. Being fat is your identity according to everybody else. And every room that she walks in, the first thing she is fat. It's not her career. It's not who she is as a person. It's not what she can contribute to any situation. She's always the number one thing she is fat. And everybody else around her was interacting based on that. Like, I can't be like her. I can't be the fat this. I can't be the fat that. And it's unfortunate, but that's just what society has been. Well, at least let me say Western society. And it's trickled off into Eastern societies as well. But a majority I've experienced this mostly in the majority of Western societies where it's like your weight is the number one thing that defines you when you're bigger in any room.
Yeah. I mean, that it is like that in Asian countries, though. Skinniness is ruled as being, beautiful in the standard. But I guess in that context, that's more normal. Whereas in the Western society, in the Renaissance era, the bigger you were, the better. That meant that you
Hey,
had money and wealth. And then I think in the set for modeling, once Twiggy hit the scene, it became you have to be skinny. Skinny is where it's at. That's best. Because I mean, you had Marilyn Monroe, actresses who had curvy shapes, even though now I would consider them mid-sized girls.
for sure.
Yeah. Marilyn Monroe was definitely like a size 10, maybe a 12, but she
Maybe
was
even
on
a 8. She wasn't that
yeah, she was on the smaller end, so I would say she was she was a mid-sized girl. Like, she had the curves in the right places, but she was a small girl. She wasn't really plus size, but for that time that she was around,
That was
that
big.
was considered
The
plus
measurement's
size.
smaller.
Yeah, like, that was considered plus size. And I think another thing is that, yeah, like, there is the blatant comments and disrespect of someone just calling you outright fat, calling you a pig,
Uh,
calling you this, calling you that. But it does come up in other ways that are more, how do you say, subtle, and I don't think people realize how hurtful those things are or how fat phobic they're being. So, I was on this website that came up, within health. And they gave a lot of examples of what fat phobia can look like outside of what you regularly see with trolling. Incessant commenting on body weight, like someone saying who's a skinny body, I feel so fat. And we hear that all the time. Even we say that. And instead of saying something else like I'm bloated or this, like you have a skinny person that says, I feel so fat. You how can you possibly feel what I'm feeling?
feel like a big bag.
Yeah, complimenting others on their bodies or weight loss. So you always hear like, "Oh my god, you look amazing with all your weight loss." Like that's that's not a compliment. Like sometimes people don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like keep it to yourself, you know? So that's another one. Talking about having a beach body or using body image as a measure of self-worth. Like I do loathe the term beach body because that means everyone's trying to get slimmer because you God forbid you're fat and in a bikini. Like, what? No, if that's the case, I would never be in a bikini, and now I'm my most free now, even though I'm probably the biggest size I've been,
Yeah.
but I'm like, "Oh, Imma wear this teeny-eeny, beatsy-weeny like, bikini, best believe. Why shouldn't I?" Exactly, I don't wanna live my whole life where I don't see myself in a bikini or look at myself or anything and have regrets when I die, and I'm like, "Well, why didn't I do that?"
More than I. It didn't cost me anything.
Exactly. Anything related to weight loss as self-improvement. So, you always hear people saying, "Oh, you look so much better now that you dropped the weight." Excuse me? Or when we hear, "You're pretty for a fat girl."
Yeah, I heard that countless times. I still hear it to today. Okay.
Yep.
Just can I
Any
pretty?
right. Anything that equates thinness with superiority or virtue. I'm being so bad when referring to eating certain foods,
Mm.
commenting on how much someone else is eating. Do I look fat in this? And assuming that people of certain body shapes or sizes aren't athletic or can't partake in physical activity.
And we deal with that every day in the fitness community.
Yes, that being underestimated because of our bodies. But even I think what's her name? Carrie Harvey or what is her name?
Gloria?
Gosh. No, no, she's a plus size coach here in Brooklyn, and I follow her, so I probably should know her handle a lot better than that, but I know it's something. She's been weightlifting and training. She's been a trainer for, like, over 10 years or so,
Uh-huh.
and she still gets comments from people who think that she's, like, a beginner.
Ah.
Just because of her body size, and she owns a gym, she's certified and trained.
Mhm.
There was actually this guy who was, like, trolling her, a fitness guy, um, he's a trainer, and all he could do was degrade her and say, like, "Well, clients only come to you to build muscle or lose weight, and they're not gonna come to you because you don't have either." And I'm like, "She could prove her work, she lifts heavy." So, she has muscles, is just under fat. And it was just this hatred for her, and he's like, "NASM has to stop giving out certifications to just anybody." Yeah. And I was just like, for somebody who's trained and certified by NASM, I am so surprised that You are saying this because you should know that size doesn't indicate anything.
It does not. Isn't the training, isn't it? It's school, right? It's just understanding the science of movement and your and physiology and biology. Why does me being plus size, how does that impact my brain from
Right.
understanding content and training others? If the litmus test to being a physical trainer or someone in the fitness space and elite in leadership is body size, then why don't we count your body fat percentage as to whether you can be a trainer or not?
And that's all we're looking at is aesthetically, we're just looking at someone's body fat ratio. Like they just happen to be on the lean side. So that has nothing to do with muscles.
And you can even have body fat percentage and just have a different body composition. You could still have
Yeah.
an 8% be, maybe 40% fat, which I think the idea for women is like 30, but that's a I wouldn't be happy if I was in that range. But
Right.
why do people who don't even understand what it takes to be, and this has just been in my experience. I found out that I have more muscle than most beat when I was 300 pounds because it just took, I don't know if it's because I was carrying around a bigger body that my body needed to have the strength to be able to carry it. I had more muscle, lean mass in my body when I was 300 pounds than I do have now that I've lost 60 pounds. I had more muscle then and I wasn't working out. So where did that muscle come from? I wasn't born with 69, 70% muscle mass. Like, where did that come from, my friend? So what
Yeah.
makes you think because you're leaner that you are entitled to these spaces? And it's not even, this is not a physical competition. It's not a bodybuilding competition. I could understand if that was the case. This is being, learning the material, understanding the material, using your life experiences to enrich your clients' goals. I don't, not every trainer is for everybody. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that plus size trainers should be limited to just plus size bodies, but she's a female trainer. We need a lot more women trainers because a lot of the industry doesn't even take our hormones into account.
And
Hormones,
but not only
and
that, she's black too.
she's black. So there are people that need her. People like me need her. You might not need her, but that's not your place to make a decision on her worth in the industry just because of her outward appearance. Because
But for
we, the marker towards him, and
right.
he would
And
say it.
the fact that he said that, it sounded so uneducated and so antiquated. And then he was like, because she also said she likes to make sure like she's happy moving, and he was like, "Movement? Okay." He was like, "You should be moving. That like you don't get a prize for that." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, movement, sometimes that is the goal, is just to be moving your body. Sometimes that's just the goal."
Such, and
I don't have a specific goal. I'm not trying to gain muscle. I want to get stronger, so I know I have to gain muscle, and I want to get good in pole and aerial. I want to be a good dancer. That's it. So if I went to a trainer with that, those are my goals. You're going to help me train the muscles that I need to train to get stronger in order to do what I need to do. But no,
yeah.
my getting into being fit and stuff and doing this is really just the joy of movement and moving my body, and if not feeling how it used to be when I first started working out. And I was just like, "Oh my god, what an asshole." And this is the problem when you have so many people in this field industry still saying stuff like that and and because he knows it's gonna get more likes because so many people think antiquated and wrongly like he does. And I was just like, what is like, think about how you talk to people. And I think that's another thing is that smaller people do not realize what you're doing. You think it's okay to make comments on somebody you don't know, and even when they're doing something, because it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation when you're a plus size body. Because if you're in the gym working out and you're enjoying yourself, or you're saying you don't care that the scale's not moving, that's a problem. How dare you? How can you not care about that? Or when they see you in there, they're just like, or the other comments that you see, which is like people pretending, or maybe they're not pretending, but they think they're being helpful when they're talking about like, "Oh, well, maybe if you, do some cardio first and drop weight before you do this activity, then, it'll be easier for you." Maybe I don't wanna have to drop weight to do something. Maybe it's just harder, and that's okay. Maybe there's another way to do it, and people haven't found a way to do it because everybody who's been doing it is skinny and can do it. Maybe we break out of the molds, we come up with something new, we become innovative.
You know what, this is bringing up 2 things that we're talking about it. The first is I remember, the boot camp style, CrossFit style gym that I was at. I'd been there for 1 year, and I mean, I'd lost, like, 20 or 30 pounds at that point, but it took me a long time to actually start seeing the weight loss come through because I'd been a part of this gym way before I started the GLP-1, and I hadn't seen any weight loss. Or at least any, like, physical manifestation of my weight loss. And I remember one day I'm in class, and at this point, on the weekends, I would take 2 boot camp classes. So I'll do a heavy boot camp from, like, 9 to 10 and another one from 10 to 11. I remember one day, one of the trainers, he was a small guy, and 2 trainers, they were standing next to each other, and they were talking about me, and they didn't know I could hear them. And they were basically saying, "Yeah, she works really, really hard, but, I don't see the progress. Maybe it's what she's eating. It's because of what she's eating." And that I remember and that actually being one of the reasons why I left that place, it hurt me. It hurt me because little do they know, I was literally starving myself,
Yeah.
thinking that's what was gonna help me. Like, I would work out, I would go to class fasted, just water, nothing else. I was taking, like, pre-workout, so I would have the energy to push through because 'cause I'm not interested in carbs. And I was killing myself on a day-to-day basis just so I can try to lose some weight, and it wasn't working. And, like, I know that. I'm very much aware of it. It's something I think about every day. And just to hear that from people that were supposed to be helping me on this journey, it hurt me. I mean, I learned I've been fat for a long time, so it wasn't the first time that I've heard comments like this that kinda, like, get to you. So I was able to bounce back within, like, a day and, like, move on about my life, and I made a decision like, "Okay, I'm gonna give this I have my contract is for X and amount. I'm gonna finish out this contract, and then I'm out." But I think if I wasn't so resilient, I would've stopped on my journey just because
Yeah.
of, like, everyone's perception of what I'm going through. You don't know the things that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. You don't know the extent that I go through to survive in a society as a plus-size woman, and just for you to make comments like that so blatantly in front of me, thinking I can't hear you, was hurt me really badly. And because a part of showing up as a plus-size body, especially in the fitness industry, is vulnerability. It's showing
Yeah.
up you don't belong, knowing you're not gonna be accepted, knowing that the way that you look is a disadvantage to everybody. It's seen as a disadvantage to everybody. So it was so sad. The other point was like, I can't lie. I'm also guilty of falling into society's expectations of people because I myself, as a plus size person, I've had moments like where, I've seen a plus size trainer. There's one plus size trainer at the gym I go to now. And every time I see him, I have to like it's better now, but I remember in the beginning, I would just wonder, like, he has clients. Clients are signing up to work with him and knowing his plus size. And I think it was just my insecurity of like maybe being in this space because I was like, how can you be a plus size trainer? And he's not plus size like just a little bit big. This man he's big. He's bigger than me. He's pretty plump. And I find myself judging him. I judge myself in these situations. And it's taking a lot of inner work of checking myself when, like you said, like when we speak about ourselves. Like there's one post I made a long time ago when unbigging your back was a big thing. I remember making a post about unbigging my back. And I ended up deleting it after a couple weeks. I was like, why? Every time I would look at it, I was like, why am I speaking about myself in this way? Whether
Yeah.
I unbig my back or not, I'm still beautiful. I'm still amazing. I'm
Yeah.
still me. So I think even as a plus size person, at least for me, I try to make sure you know, society is going to do what society does, but am I also participating in fat phobia against myself and against others? And that's one of those questions that, sad to say, is something that I have to work on way more often than not.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, do you consider a defensive line player on a football team plus size or fat? No one
No.
calls those people fat. A sumo wrestler, they're
Mm,
not called fat.
mm-mm.
So why is that any different?
Yeah.
Because they're in football, but because they're in some kind of official sport where having that kind of weight on their body is acceptable? Because I guarantee people who troll or these trainers who might even get like, you know, football athletes as their clients, they're not calling them fat. They're not telling them that they have to lose weight.
Mm,
They're actually helping them get stronger and build more muscle so they can do the defensive line work that they need to do.
right.
So how is that any different when it comes to any other plus size body that comes out from there? Like if you don't fall under those 2 umbrellas of sport, then you're worthless, then we need to look down on
Mm,
it. Like fat phobia does not extend to those people.
mhm.
Like I've never heard someone like call a sumo wrestler fat. I've never heard
All sumo wrestling.
exactly, but I'm just saying is that I've never heard someone say like, "Wow, they're really fat. They need to lose weight."
There's like
Same thing with an NFL defensive player. I've never heard someone say like, "Well, that person is well, that's disgusting."
300 pounds. I mean,
Right,
mostly
but
muscle, but yeah,
yeah, like they're 300
they're
pounds.
big
They're big men.
for the job. They have to be big.
Yeah, 275, 300, maybe even some of them are 330, but they can run, they know how to sprint,
Yeah.
train and build muscle, they have endurance, but I do not hear people say, "Oh, they're fat. They
Mm,
need to lose weight." That never comes out of anyone's mouth. So, why is it not extended in other places and to other people?
fat people are not worthy.
And it's funny, fat people aren't worthy in outside of that. Like, that's when who decided, what society rule decided that, okay, in this context, it's okay to be fat, but in any other context, you can't be fat. God forbid you're fat. Like, I think about this more and more, especially as I've been doing like fitness, is that
Yeah.
I'm realizing I'm like, wait, NFL defensive players, those guys have to be big. They are pushing weight. And I never hear, and especially it's the trolls who are on the internet, like, talking about, "Oh, this person's fat, that person's fat." They're the same people that'll go to an NFL game, they wouldn't dare say that about an NFL player.
They sure won't. And they know they'll be beat down anyway. And they'll lose.
So, yeah, and I think it's weird, but yeah, and also just I think now I do get more irritated when skinny bodies, I constantly hear them saying, "Oh, I feel fat," or, "Oh, I look fat," and I'm just like, okay, first of all, you're 100 and something pounds, 135 pounds, 125 pounds, whatever. If you were to have gained 30 pounds, is that so awful? What is so bad about that? So it's okay for me to be fat when if I say I'm fat, it's oh no, you're not fat, like or oh no, don't say that about yourself. Or it's always something, but I'll literally look at them and be like, okay, like what is the problem with you gaining weight? Do you realize how you sound saying that to someone who is fat? You're saying that you have a problem with being fat to a fat person.
Which is
And
the
they're just like, "No, no, that's not it. It's just
it is.
it is. At the end of the day, if you have a problem that you've gained 5 pounds, 20 pounds, and it means nothing, you're not anywhere close to being fat. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? We're not talking about the same things." And then you can sit here and like almost freak out about it. And
Mm,
then you're saying it to your friend who you know is fat, who you can't possibly understand what a fat person has been through, it kinda comes off that's fat phobia,
It
and it kinda lets you know what a person thinks about you. They may not think that they're saying it, but they are saying the quiet part out loud,
mm,
you know? And I think, like, people just have to be careful with what they're saying around other people and what they're thinking because you feel fat. What is feeling fat? What is that? What do you mean by that? And how would you know about feeling fat?
I don't think and I think that the reason why people don't really reflect and are careful about how they see it, like maybe the way they would act around someone with some sort of ability issue. Like let's say, I want to say the wrong term, but let's say maybe you have a broken limb, right? You're gonna be very careful about how you speak about, you know, the bodies and the body's ability. The reason why I feel like a lot of people don't do it for plus size people is because your weight is seen as a result of it's like your fault. You're fat because you don't know how to stop eating, or you're fat because you put yourself in that position. You need to pull yourself up. You need to lose weight. You need to put the fork down. And like you said, anytime someone who is bigger than most is in a space like fitness and is daring to be present and be the best in what they do, whether it's or in anything, the biggest insult that a lot of people will use against that person is you're fat. Oh, you wanted to be a doctor like Samara. Now, I don't agree with everything Samara says, but I do know a lot of people use her weight against her just because she's bigger and just
Right.
because she dares to speak up or to speak up from her experience or that she dares to exist unapologetically. Because it's seen as a failing on your part as an individual. So we are
It's like you
allowed.
have to be punished. Yeah. We have to be punished for being fat. And if you're living your life unapologetic and happy, like you're traveling, you're enjoying food that you shouldn't be like, I'm sorry, I'm not eating lettuce. Like, I'm actually enjoying a bowl of ice cream, or I'm eating bowl of pasta. All of a sudden, it's like, well, you shouldn't be eating that. You're fat. Like, what are you doing? Like, how you dare to do anything that shows that you're enjoying yourself and you're enjoying your body. And like you said, especially if it's in areas where fitness or beauty where they tell you that you have to look a certain way in order to be happy and you're doing the opposite of that, people attack that so quickly. It bothers them.
Yeah.
It like eats away at them.
And I unfortunately, I see this every day. Of course, I see it in the fitness industry. I know what to expect it, so it doesn't I stop kinda, like, taking account of it and acknowledging it. I just whatever. But I see it a lot, like, when I'm really, like, dressed up and in my fashion choices. And, like, let's say I decided today I wanna wear a crop top with a high-waisted pants to the store, or, like, when I go out, I'm in, like, a really nice, elegant outfit, but it's short, and I have an apron belly. My waist circumference is larger in the middle. I carry most of my weight around my belly, and I was hear, like, girls chuckle, thinking, like, they're demeaning me, and they're like, "I could never wear that looking like her. Ew." And I just look at that, and I'm just like, I think it doesn't bother me because I've accepted myself a very long time ago, and I decided to live unapologetically as me a long time ago. My size was not gonna define how beautiful I felt and how I expressed that feeling within myself, but it happens at the store. People are chuckling thinking that, "Oh my god, I could never do that. Oh, it sucks to be hurt." And I'm like, "Sweetie, I'm enjoying my life. I'm probably enjoying it more than you ever enjoyed my life. You don't even know the intricacies of my life. I am living life to the fullest." As
Yeah.
for like, oh, I think one time my ex-husband, mind you, I met him when I was smaller. And because of like just the stress of the relationship and being a mom and going through like 2 pregnancies, my body changed a lot. And I remember when we were breaking up and his thing was, "You walk like a duck, who's gonna fucking watch you?" And I'm like, I mean, I'm not gonna put my business out there, but like, I don't have a problem in the men department. I never
Right.
have. And I've never been small. I've never had problems with getting romantic attention.
Yeah.
But you felt that because you're upset about the situation, that that's the way that you are going to humble me. Or random people think maybe they're insecure about themselves. So in that moment, I was a way for them to kind of like let go of this frustration that they have with their body. Like, oh my gosh, she's so big. Why would she wear that? Because I can. Who
Yeah.
says that? Like, and I get it, but trust me, I get it, because that part of the reason why I wanna lose weight is so I can wear Chanel again. Like, I get it. I'm part of the problem too, because I we live in the same society, but at the same time, who said that in what I wear that I had to have a flat stomach? How many women on this earth have a flat stomach? Do you know how hard it is to maintain that flat stomach? And then on top of that, I've had kids. I've had pregnancies. You don't just bounce back like that, and if you do, God bless you. You're one of the lucky ones, and I love that for you. But why do we subscribe to these unrealistic expectations that are unrealistic in terms of science and biology?
I
Who said
don't
that a flat stomach is the ultimate goal?
someone made that up.
Yeah, I could lose 300 pounds tomorrow. Of course, I know. I could lose 200 pounds tomorrow. That skin is going to be part of my belly. It's not, and I'm not going through surgery. I'm not going to cut myself out to lose it. Because so what? Who says that I have to have a flat stomach?
Society somewhere, like, as much as I
Okay, what is the biological benefit? Does it make
nothing.
me a better person? Does it bring me money?
No,
Does it
someone
pay
just
my
thought
bills?
it's aesthetically pleasing to have a fat stomach to show that you have lean fat than opposed to having fat. That's all that was.
I love bread. Just for the mere fact of eating carbs. I'm never gonna have a flat stomach, and I am okay with that. Okay, I may not be okay. I've learned to love my body for what it is, but I just know there's a certain body composition that I want, and I know I'm not gonna have a big stomach. I'm always gonna have a big stomach, and I'm not gonna have a flat stomach. But I feel like I've learned to be okay with that.
I mean, and I think that's good. I just why is it that we as plus size bodies have to put on a brave face or have more confidence than
The regular person.
a smaller body in order to present ourselves, in order to be okay? Like, no, we need to really, if we're going to do a real body positivity movement, everyone needs to check themselves. Like, you need to a skinny body needs to watch what they say. You need to relearn how you think about fat and why you think that way. Just like anything else, just like with racism. Like, that is something with your brain wired, and these societal concepts or something that you've come out with stereotypes that tell you that this race, this group of people, whatever, there's something wrong with them, and you don't have, and that's not true. And the same thing applies to a fat body. Like, we shouldn't have to walk around pretending like we're okay and and accepting the comments like, "Oh, wow, you're so brave for wearing that," or "I couldn't wear that," or dealing with someone saying like, "Do I look fat in this?" No, I don't have to be around that, and no, I'm allowed to check you when you say that each and every time, and I will check you when you say that, because why are you saying that? What does that mean to you? Let's get down to the bottom of it. Okay, so you feel bloated, you feel heavier, you feel whatever. Why are you making it fat? And why is it such a bad thing to you? If you found out you gained weight, why is that so bad to you? If you had a baby and literally that child, it's only been 9 months since you've had your child, why do you care about suddenly getting back to your pre-baby weight? Your whole life has changed. Your body is gonna change with it.
Your hormones included.
So, I like, why is it expected that we're allowed to have people say certain comments and just be like, "Okay, like, they're there, it's okay, let me comfort you, let me console you." No. There's nothing wrong with me being fat, especially if when I go to my doctors, I'm healthy.
Yeah.
If I wanna just move my body just for the sake of movement because like fitness and I don't really have my goal isn't to just lose weight, and
Yeah.
even when you build muscle, like, your body does recomp, but muscle is denser than fat. So, yeah, you do get smaller, but in a lot of ways, you still get thick in other areas because that muscle is just tightening up. So you can still be the same exact weight you were as quote unquote fat, but you have less fat. So you're go down in sizes because your inches are now smaller. Body recomping and building muscle doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to all of a sudden become skinny.
Your sizes change.
That just means your body's recomped by switching from more fat to more muscle.
And actually, for me, that's like the ideal thing. I don't care what size I am. I care about my muscle mass and I care about proportions.
Yeah.
Care about proportions. And even that is still a product of societal standards because I'm chasing the hourglass figure that's deemed, you know, acceptable in society. But I think I've just had to figure out like, what do I want? Is fat phobia baked into that? Yes, and maybe there's more therapy and more work I need to do that to kind of dissociate myself from that. It's kind of hard to though, if I really think about it. But
Well, it's been ingrained in you, like, for so
yeah,
long. Like, we've had this being thrown down our throats since we were children about being skinny, being skinny, being skinny. Like, it was something that was taught to our parents, like, your child has to be skinny unless and if they're not, like, your child is unhealthy. Like, these are things that have been passed on for so long when before, if we were what, in 1321 in the Renaissance or whatever the Renaissance era was, we would be considered rich.
right. I mean, when they say like Medusa build, wasn't that the beauty standard at the time? It was that curvier, more chubbier build.
Yeah, like, that's why when you see, like, certain paintings from the Renaissance era, women were bigger, they were chubbier. They were fat because fat meant you had money to eat food.
Mm.
So, honestly, if it was like that, a lot of us plus size people would be at the top of the food chain, baby. We would be considered wealthy, noble. Exactly.
But I know things are changing because like I'm a mom to a young daughter and she's 8, so she's finally hitting that growth spurt. And I can see the changes in her body. I can see she's eating more and she's getting thicker as she's growing taller. And I know there are people around me and they've said things to me like, maybe you need to watch what she's eating. And I was like, and I've just looked at those people and I was like, no, that is not a conversation you have with the 8-year-old. If she wants to eat, let her eat. If she's getting bigger, she's growing. It made me feel comfort that I, as a mother, have been able to protect my daughter from the narrative that I was hearing when I was her age. I
Yeah.
remember being 10 years old and being told, oh, your stomach is big. Your stomach sticks out. You need to eat less. Like I remember hearing that as an 8, 9, 10-year old. And I'm not gonna lie, it shaped a lot of the anxiety and fears I've had about being big my entire life. But I know that, like, if and I know this is happening, it's not just me, it's happening with a lot of moms in society that we decided not to make our girls we decided not to carry that narrative to our children. So even if I know society won't change tomorrow, not everybody will always consider plus size people as humans and give them the grace that we would give any human when it comes to any condition. I know that maybe a generation or 2 or 3 from now, that change will come because of we decided to opt out. Maybe not, maybe we don't do that for ourselves, but for our girls, for the future generations.
Yeah. And boys too, like, just all bodies. That shapes, like, how you look at yourself, it shapes your relationship with food, all of that comes together, so, yeah, I think that is a beautiful thing. So, yeah, I mean, I would say takeaways from this, if you are a plus size body watching this, is that when you see fat phobia and it's in your face, speak out against it. There's nothing wrong with that. In order to change the status quo, you have to go against the status quo, question the status quo.
Don't
There
int
is nothing wrong with that.
not internalize it.
Yeah, like if you have a doctor that is giving you a hard time about your weight, then find a doctor who is HAES, health at every size, to neutralize that and see if that way you can figure out your weight outside of that, but at least you don't have a doctor sticking it down your throat.
Who just see your size.
Exactly. Same
And
thing
cause all
if you have a trainer that's giving you a hard time or making you feel uncomfortable about your body, find a trainer who is a trainer for healthy at every size, like, or one who's plus size like yourself. You don't have to put up with the narrative that you should only see a trainer to get skinny.
I think you should talk about the organization that you've been a part of in New York, that hosts events for plus size people. I think maybe a part of it is surrounding yourself with other people that look like you.
Yes, like, there's more and more stuff that comes up. I mean, for me, we have Power Plus Wellness in New York that hosts exclusively for plus size bodies with different types of fitness classes. I mean, ranging from jazz, ballet, modern contemporary dance, Latin dance, strength training, they do aqua Zumba, they do a bunch of stuff. Like it ranges from a lot of things you can do. And usually they have instructors that are plus size that teach or instructors who are very much aware of health at every size. So if you can find those, I feel like those are popping up more and more in the community in communities. Find those and get your movement that way. But the point is you don't have to internalize or feel ashamed or even deal with fat phobia. And I would say if you are a smaller body watching this, really think about what you
Why
say around people and how you feel about being fat and fat bodies and why you feel that way.
and why?
That's a real thing. Like, you may think that you are a body positive person, but when you say something like,
Mhm.
"I feel so fat," or "Do I look fat in this?" or "I shouldn't have that. I can't have a cookie. I can't do this. I'll gain weight." Think about those comments because why are you saying them and why are you triggered or worried or anxious about
Gaining weight.
gaining weight or be having any attribution to being fat? Think
Mhm.
about. So yeah, I would say those are the takeaways and hopefully this conversation will bring on a bigger conversation and maybe we really help be a launch pad to a true body positivity movement. But
Yeah.
like I said, I would say that if you're a smaller body, please be kind to people. When you see people working out or if you see people enjoying themselves that are fat, let them be. It's not bothering you. And if it does bother you,
And
swipe. Just
for
swipe. It doesn't
just keep it moving, boo.
exactly. You don't need to comment. If it bothers you so much, don't give the person the like, don't give them the comment, don't give them the
That's
time.
okay.
It's that simple.
Keep on moving, keep doing you.
Do something with your life because that tells me more you're not enjoying yourself if you have time to make negative comments and troll somebody. You don't have there's something wrong with you. There's something internally wrong with you that
Something
you
about
want to rage bait somebody. So, yeah, that is it for today's episode. If you've joined us for the first time, thank you for
Yay.
joining us and dropping in on the conversation. If you've been listening to us, we thank you. And we want to say, please share. That's how we can grow and get bigger.
And
So
help
it's more than just liking and subscribing. Like, please share and help us get our
message out
message
there.
out and our conversations out. But yeah, until next time, thank you everyone. I am Nomi,
And I'm Lex Wanderlust.
and until the next conversation.
Bye.
Bye.